right, and we are live. Welcome back, Button Club members, to another episode of the Safe Sets podcast. I'm one of your hosts, ShadowFury, and with me, as always, is
RicyICEBEAM.
How you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Very, very good, very good. Another amazing week. Not just in fighting games, but my personal life. How about yourself?
Same.
Same. Excellent. Sometimes these topics for these weekly episodes happen very early on the week, and sometimes they happen very last minute. Today is the latter. So why don't you tell me what we're going to be talking about today?
So we're going to be talking about a few things today, but the main topic of today is Street Fighter 6 first to 2 versus first to 3 for tournaments.
Yes. How viable is that? Do you guys have a preference? And how does changing something as the addition of one extra game like that really change the entire flow of the tournament and things like that? This question kind of was posed to us by DiGiorno or DJ in our Discord, and that kind of set things afire this week, no?
Right, because he wasn't just asking about it for us to talk on the podcast. He was asking about it for the Button Club Weekly that happens every Monday.
Exactly. So one of the things that he had stated was that I guess other locals in our area have switched to a first to 3 format, and he wanted to know basically what we had thought of that. So what were your initial reactions to that?
So it's a few things. I think that fighting games are better the more games you can play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you were to compare a first to 1 to a first to 2, there's no question that first to 2 is better. And so the same thing holds true with a first to 3, even up to like a first to 5. I think that in a first to 5, whoever wins really deserved it. Either the better player won, or it was really, really even, and one person played better than the other on that day.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really unlikely in a game like Street Fighter 6 that's pretty well balanced that in like a first to 5, the weaker player is going to win, and if they do, it's going to be extremely close. It's not going to be like someone who is truly not as good as you is not going to beat you 5-1.
I agree. When it was first posed to us in the Discord, and DiGiorno actually just popped in. He says what is it? A happy fire. A little chaos is always good for conversation. Yeah, it's too early for a fire, Alicia says. My initial reaction is I would love Street Fighter 6 to be a first to 3 game.
Right, if that was like the standard that everyone's doing, even the pros.
Exactly. That is my first area of contention with switching Button Club to a first to 3 format, is just because if other local areas are doing it for themselves, that's not something that I think we should follow. Just because of that, if it holds merit, then I would gladly switch. My biggest thing is that when you play a ranked game on Street Fighter 6, it is a first to 2. Your decision making and how well you play a set goes in that first to 2 mentality. It's the same thing when we go to tournament. We were at Defend the North about a month ago. The format is first to 2, and then first to 3 was for
I'm not even sure if it was either top 8 or maybe it was just winners, losers, grands.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
But typically with tournaments around that size, it's either top 8 is first to 3 or only top 3 essentially.
Which I completely agree with. I think top 8 first to 3 is awesome, because now you're making a spectacle of that top 8. You've given them a little extra leeway to see the games fluctuate back and forth. So I do think it's really, really exciting. But I think that only really works on a major level, not really something that you could see at a local that's pulling less than 30 people a week, right?
Right, for that tournament, right, exactly. And that's the other thing too. Like, I think that obviously a first to 3 is better than a first to 2 if you're trying to figure out who the better player is on that day. But I think in a lot of cases, you don't need the first to 3 to figure it out.
And I would agree with that. Yes, I do agree, because I feel like after a while there's no need to put another game in that win box for them, right? But there are some where I know that I feel that I am a little slower to adapt that thing. So getting 2-0'd really sucks. Feels terrible, because you're like, man, maybe if I only had that one more game to adapt, or it would have been better to lost 3-1 than 2-0 or whatever, right?
Right, exactly. And we have seen it before where in like a loser's final set, someone's up 2-0 and then the other person starts to catch on and they 3-0 them back, whether they're tired or whatever the reason is. It is possible to, reverse 3-0 somebody in a first to 3 where you don't get that opportunity if it's first to 2.
And I think rewarding that to the players that have made it to a significant spot in the bracket is very warranted. And having losers finals go for that first to 3. Losers finals regardless of who's going home and getting third place for that, having it first to three adds that little extra edge. I know when we're watching, Button Club weeklies as it's happening, and it's usually him, DiGiorno, and God knows who else or whatever. Like those are really, really exciting games because we're finally getting to see how they adapt. And I know you excel in the long set, so it's just really, really great to see.
Yeah, and the other thing that's interesting too is like there was an online tournament that I used to enter back in Street Fighter V, and they did this weird thing where, for whatever reason, losers semis, which was like the last losers match before losers finals.
Okay.
So basically, the last losers match that didn't have anyone that was ever coming down from the winner side was also first to three, which was really strange. And I didn't care for that as much. I really feel like the first to three, like in the tournament, the standard tournament that we run. I think it makes the most sense for winners, losers, grands because those matches are all for money, essentially, right? Because whoever comes in first gets, it's like 70%, second place is 20, and then third place is 10?
60, 30, 10?
60, 30, 10? Okay, yeah. So 60, 30, 10, but then whoever loses, I'm trying to think, because then whoever loses losers finals gets fourth, correct?
Yes.
So then that person gets $0, but they had an opportunity, right? Because top three gets paid
No,
out.
losers finals is the fight for third, right?
Am I losing my mind? Because grand finals is first and second.
Yep.
Whoever, I guess, yeah. So whoever loses losers finals is third.
No. Yeah, you're guaranteed.
Am I losing
third,
it?
Right? She says yep. Yep to what?
Yeah. So all those matches are for different amounts of money, and none of them are $0.
Yeah. Which is something that some people might forget about, especially if you're not used to being in the top 3 spot of Button Club. There is money on the line. These players, are also doing it to, catch some gas money in a.
So I was right. So the loser of losers finals comes in fourth place.
Okay.
The winner of losers finals is guaranteed third. Is that right? I'm losing my mind. I have to see it. Pull up a bracket.
I can do that. We can do that.
Let's pull up a Button Club.
She says, wait, no, wait. Even she.
Yeah, right?
Hey, we do tend to run these every week. We're a little out of practice. We didn't hit last week.
We're much less concerned with who got fourth, unfortunately.
Yeah,
whoever got
yeah.
top 3, whoever got paid.
Brackets are hard. Should I just go to start GG or something?
Yeah. Yeah, bring up a Button Club.
View bracket.
So we got this up. So yeah, so in this tournament I won on winner side. So yeah, so the loser of losers finals got third, correct? Yeah.
Because I know that sometimes I've made it to losers finals and been like, okay, even if you don't play as good as you have to here,
right,
you're at least on the podium. So
right,
I feel like that's been the mindset before.
Yeah, so that's where I was confused. So the losers semifinal match is the differentiator between money and no money.
Yeah. All right.
But that one's first to 2.
Yeah. All right, we settled it. There you go.
So maybe now thinking back, maybe that's why the online tournament ran loser semis as a first to 3, because you have an opportunity to win money, some amount or 0.
Yeah, that's true. And so I think correct me if I'm wrong, on top of the discussion of should the game be first to 3 or first to 2, like I said, I would love for Street Fighter as a whole to be first to 3. But I think what DiGiorno might actually be asking for, and I think other players are kind of thinking about this too, but it's not so in their face. They kind of are looking for something a little different. We have been
different than the first to 2 double elimination.
We've been doing the double elimination bracket all this time, every single week now. And I think players are just kind of they just want something a little bit different. I was really intrigued by how the EWC ran their tournament by having, and kind of like the Capcom Cup where there was pools, right? Or groups, I should say, not pools, groups. Right. And 2 out of the 5-man group made it to a separate bracket and things like that. I thought that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think those setups are really nice, but I think they work the best when you have too many strong players, right? If at Button Club there was 10 different players who could get first place, and whoever gets first is switching week after week after week, then I think doing a different system could be helpful. But in the situation where we're in, where depending on who shows up that week, you can almost guess who's going to be in top 3 every week. And so when that happens, it's like, is there much value in doing anything other than the double elimination bracket if your goal is just to figure out who's the best player on that day and run through the bracket?
Yeah, yeah.
But that being said, I often wonder and think about this too. It's like, what about the players? Like there are players who go 0-2 every week, and there's players who go like 1-2 and 2-2, and like I always like think to myself, like, if I was going to a local and I was going 1-2 every single week, like me personally, I would just work really, really hard and see what I could do to get out of that. But there are players who like don't have time to practice, or the amount that they're practicing in their mind is the right amount to get to the next level, and they might be mistaken about that. And so it's kind of like, what's in it for them besides seeing their friends to not only like leave their house, like spend the gas money to drive there and back, spend the out-of-pocket money to enter the tournaments and pay venue fee, to essentially never get any dollars back because they're not making top 3.
I think when it comes to something like that, another thing too, I think people have a lot of hobbies. I think people in our local have their hands in a lot of different things.
That's a really good point. Like Street Fighter is one of, let's say, 6 hobbies that they do regularly. So yeah, they might sit down and play ranked or go in training mode and really turn the game on maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah. It's just a part of their gaming life as a whole. So they're doing Dungeons and Dragons with certain friends, every other week. They're 3D printing on the weekends. They've got a podcast on Friday, so at 8 o'clock, so tune in. DiGiorno says, yeah, ultimately, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I was just asking because of the trend and also looking out for people who want to get in more games bracket exposures. All right, so that was a really good point, that last bit right there.
Yeah, I agree.
And getting more bracket exposure. So the way that we run the weekly now is we try and get everyone on stream at least once. Yep. And if the bracket is really, really saturated, we'll run as many matches as we can off stream just to kind of keep the flow of the bracket going. But we want to showcase all of our players because everyone is important regardless of skill level. They all have, great personalities. They're all fun people and stuff. So we want to showcase those people. But I also think that was a drive for me, was to be like, I want to be seen more. I want to be up there. I need to get better. So I need to do what it takes to keep working on it. And I think everyone has different motivations also. I think there's people there that they are bummed week to week that they might have a poor record for them. But it's a night out of the house. They got to do something, and at the end of the day, like you said, they might have time to like practice, but it's not everything. So hey, I did what I could this week with what I tried to learn, and I had fun doing it.
Right. There's no losers when you get to play video games with your friends.
Exactly. And I mean, there are some characters there that are definitely all in it for the fun, and they're laughing all night. There are certain characters there that take it really, really seriously, and they're really want to prove their their merit amongst their friends and things like that. I think it's interesting to have a healthy balance. But I think when someone at the top, like DiGiorno, regularly top 3, is bringing up something because he's looking out for the 0-2ers, I think that really, really says a lot. But clearly, the people that don't even still have the good record are motivated to come out because those names show up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Every week, even surprisingly, sometimes you're like, wow, this person's been showing up for the year and a half. And doing the best they can, maybe getting a game a night or something, but that's the best that they've been able to give.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to point out is earlier I had said, there's not like 10 different players that can win the tournament or even really come in top 3. But that isn't to say that the player base at Button Club isn't strong. It's actually the opposite. So in, let's say, a regular weekly bracket, you have like 16 players or so?
Yeah.
12 of them are master ranks, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So in that sense, it is very saturated as far as strong players goes. It's just there's a disparity. There's a low, medium, and high master rank.
It's true. Yeah, no, there really is, because a lot of seeding the brackets week to week has become so much easier because we're seeing a lot of the same names and a lot of the same positions. So even if it's off by 1 or 2, because someone their equal skill level just depends on who's better that week. Right. Is right next to that name, so that's made those things a lot easier.
Yeah, I always keep an eye out for that too when like the brackets are going on. Like when a bracket is seeded properly, in the beginning, the top 1 or 2 players will usually have like a bye, or they're facing the lowest ranked players. And so, like, if those matches are blowouts, it's like, okay, that makes sense. It's seeded properly. And then what happens too is the players who are towards the middle of the skill, in the seeding goes, they fight each other round one. And those are really, really hyped because,
Yeah.
Anybody can win on any given day. And it drastically changes how much easier or how much more difficult your tournament run that night is going to be.
It's true.
And so oftentimes I'll see like your brother versus Beefcake.
Yeah.
Right. So they fight round one a lot. And it's like, well, either one of these players can win. They're both really, really strong. They're playing different characters, different archetypes. So, anything goes. But if you lose that match, you have like twice as many games to play.
Yeah.
And again, when you go to the loser side, you're not fighting necessarily like silver or even gold ranked players. You go to the loser side to fight other master ranked players who got sent to losers round one at your local. So it's tough.
You just lost to 1560 MR and your next opponent is 1545 or whatever. You're like, that damn. There's not a huge difference there. It's very, very subtle.
Right. And the other thing I always try to keep in mind too is like master ranked players are the vast minority as far as all Street Fighter players go. So the fact that our local has so many master ranked players just kind of goes to show you like we are a pretty serious scene and we are competitive and we are trying to get better and prepare for these majors in my case. But it is so interesting that like if a player who is good at Street Fighter, right? Let's say they're like gold rank or platinum rank, if they come to Button Club and don't realize that 9 out of 10 players are master rank, they're going to go 0-2 or 1-2 and be like so confused.
Yeah.
Like what just happened?
Like those two guys that were there the last week that we were there, they came in together and they were talking with Milk a lot.
Okay, yeah.
They had been there like once or twice before. We were at the old location, but I wasn't sure where their skill level was at. I got to play against one of them. My brother got to play against one of them. And then at the end of the night, I heard him mentioning, I think he said like Platinum 4 or 5. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, and we don't ever hear about it.
I was like, oh yeah, those are ranks.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, like that's where they're at. I didn't know where to place them. I had no idea. I was just so focused on beating them. But I think that's a fair point too. Like you said, a lot of us are preparing for those majors and those other tournaments, the monthlies, and even going to other weekly tournaments sometimes too. We want to make sure that we show up completely prepared. I think that's a whole lot easier when every week you've been training your games and setups in a 1-2 manner, online, in tournament, in person, so that when you go to the bigger events, I would have hated to have come back from Defend the North and thought that my weekend should have gone differently because had it been 1-3, I would have done this. Maybe I could have had one more game against that Luke player and then done better. I don't want to have to say that because I should think to myself, well, it's 1-2. That is the standard for this game. It is what it is.
Right. And the other thing, too, you were mentioning how when you play a ranked set, it's 1-2. It's like, well, it's not that it's helpful because it's 1-2. It's 1-2 because it's so helpful, because the tournament standard is 1-2. In a parallel universe, or maybe sometime in the future, if Street Fighter 6 was a 1-3 game through and through, I'm sure Capcom would update rank to be a 1-3 set.
Yeah, you would have to. You would absolutely have to. And then maybe you would feel better about taking that L. Like that was a little more decisive. It was 3. What could I have done? It's like you got 3 bases, right? 3 strikes, you're out. I feel like 3 is kind of the magic number, but you're talking like the best of 3 games. But a 2-1, like we said earlier, 2-1 would feel not. I'm sorry, 2-0 would feel not as good as a 3-1, right?
Yeah, and in a game like Street Fighter 6, there truly are close 3-0s, right?
Yeah,
like there are games where it's like every single game I took around, and it was like whoever got the next crouch medium kick into drive rush wins, and you just didn't get it 3 times.
It's such a bittersweet statement.
But I think it's true. Like I don't think I'm making that up to feel better about myself.
No.
I've lost 3-0 and it's been close, and I've beaten people 3-0 and been sweating the whole time.
Yeah. No, I've had people say it to me before and been like, yeah, not close enough. Yeah, 3-0, but close. Like, get out of here. And then there's been other games I'm like, that was such a close 3-0. Like I felt like I still at least saw growth, or I was doing. I made 3 new decisions correctly than I did the last time that we played, so that felt really good.
Right. It's like maybe in my head I didn't deserve to win that necessarily because I got 3-0'd, but maybe that should have been like a 3-1 or a 3-2.
With one change, one decision difference,
right?
Right?
One combo drop undone.
Yeah. When I was watching the previous week that we had, watching my set against DiGiorno, I was like really proud.
Yeah.
Felt really, really good. I don't know if you ever get like this. Maybe it's just me, but there's times where if I'm focusing on something and I get excited about it, like if I'm drawing a picture and it's coming out really, really sick. After watching that and seeing that I did so well, I took a second to like walk around the house, think about it, kind of just like let it kind of sink in. Wow, yeah, you did that. Okay, like I have a hard time focusing on a lot of other things if I'm excited about one other thing, you know?
Yeah, one thing that happens for me is while I'm playing, I think I'm doing awful. Like in my head, I'm like talking bad to myself. I'm like, oh man, I dropped this. Like I know I should have been ready for this. I intended to block that crouch beam kick and I got
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got hit. But then like afterwards, like I'll watch the sets back. I'm like, oh, I'm playing fantastic. Like I'm playing good.
Uh
Like
huh. Yeah.
like after the fact, like emotions aside, when I'm watching my play, I'm like, oh, I'm actually playing great. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't suck.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moment, I'm just like thinking, oh man, like I'm a fraud. Like
Yeah, yeah.
like they're gonna figure me out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just putting yourself through the mental ringer for no reason.
Yeah.
You're like, I ate that drive impact. God, I'm so trash. I'm gonna sell everything. Go home and sell my whole apartment because I don't deserve any of it.
That was
Um,
actually one thing I noticed from last week's tournament. Um, when I was fighting against DiGiorno, I didn't react to a single DI. And I
oh,
think over
really?
the course of grand finals, I think he hit me with like 14 of them. It was like
Wow.
he wasn't doing them like all the time, but it was often enough that like I was like even while I was playing him, I was thinking like, man, like I really need to react to these DIs. I cannot be eating these. And then like another one would come. Like I'm not reacting to any of these.
And then you're like, I have a whole fucking DI button,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
not even hitting it. Like, good God, can I hit a DI, please? um, One of the things that Alicia and I have started talking about a lot more because I feel like this season is approaching is a another Ranbat.
Oh yeah.
I think another Ranbat would be really, really exciting and kind of throw a little wrench in the weeklies and throw a little more enthusiasm into players because they want to make that top eight to be at that final day to fight for the belt. So we've already started to like make some arrangements and we're trying to figure out where we're going to do it. So last year we had it at the compound with James. James is going through things in his life right now, so he cannot accommodate, unfortunately. So we're trying to just figure out if we're gonna do either a Sunday at Omnisource Games and not the following Monday,
Oh, I see. Yep.
or just run it like it's another Monday, but that's the big event for everyone to participate in.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too, because like last year was the first time we did the Ranbat, and I hadn't heard of that before, and so
Mm,
like after the fact, I googled it, and Ranbat is short for random battle. So
yeah.
what's random about it?
So I actually have no idea. Who brought it to our attention was Wallaby
Hmm.
from BP. During the Platinum City Guilty Gear Strive days, he had the idea to do a Ranbat series.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of ran with it. Alicia got all inspired. That's where the belt came from. We helped Dan run that whole bit twice. We did it, and it was awesome. I thought Ranbat stood for ranked battle.
Does it?
Oh, I
Yeah,
guess that would
maybe.
make more
Yeah,
sense.
maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was random battle, but yeah, ranked battle makes more sense because the whole thing is you play week after week and you have a point system and you rank the players, and then in the end, like in this case, if top eight makes it to the final tournament, then
Then that's your tournament.
right.
Yeah, and then I love belts. So last year we did, I think it was 6 weeks. Was it 6 or 8 weeks?
I want to say it was 6, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, probably already over a year ago. But it was like 6 to 8 weeks, and we have already the spreadsheet for how many points are earned per game win and things like that. It was 6 weeks. Okay, yeah, 6 weeks, and then at the end of it, yeah, it was top eight. And did we do? I wonder if we did first to three that night for the top eight, or if it was all first to two to kind of get it going, or
I can't remember. I should know this.
I know. And then again, was it single elim? Was it double elim? I was commentating all day and just doing everything. No, 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 because I was actually in it the last year. So I played and then did commentary.
Yeah, I came in third, and I honestly don't remember.
He's like, I didn't win. That was it. I think we did longer sets. Yeah,
Yeah, it might have been first to threes, and then maybe the final was like first to five.
Hmm, I gotta find the file.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll check. But it would be cool if we did that again and did first to three throughout, and then winners losers grands is first to five. That might have been what we did. I just
Yeah,
no
DiGiorno,
memory.
if you want to send that over, I'll take a look at it and we can use it for potential inspiration for this year's Ranbat.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the other thing I really like about the Ranbat is it really lets the players who are like, because for Button Club, if you were to ask most players, you could pretty much rank like the top four, the top five players, and then like players 6 through 8, there's like 8 different players that could get those spots.
Yeah, it's true.
So the Ranbat really has those players fighting for those spots, and it comes down to like consistency, like how well you do week after week, but also how often you come out. Because if you miss 1 or 2 weeks and you're fighting for spots 6 through 8, there's a good chance you're going to get bumped out.
You could miss it, exactly. The first year we did the Guilty Gear Strive Ranbat, of course I wanted in.
Yep.
Wasn't able to make it. But had a great time watching. Obviously, players that were just so amazing do their thing. The second year, I only got in because I was a spot after Hanny, and then Hanny had to go to Egypt.
Oh, so he couldn't make it to the
So
tournament.
I made it in by a what's that called there?
I know the word too. And
I got a buy, whatever.
Yeah, I know the word. It's driving me crazy now.
And then, but last year I earned it
on technicality.
On a technicality, thank you. But last year I earned it on my own merit, and that felt really, really awesome to see, my tag in the top 8 there. Okay, victories in the winner's side of the bracket award 2 points. Victories in the loser's side of the bracket award 1 point. Victories in winners finals, losers finals, and grand finals award 3 points each. Okay, excellent. So that's the point system per win, and that's how all that's tallied up. And then I think we were discussing 6 to 8 weeks of running it again, maybe even the 8. So even if you lost 2-1 in your first set of the night, you still gained 2 points, and those add up. Yep. Yeah, so I think something like that would be exciting for the players. It would give them something. It would put a little more weight on the week-to-week stuff, and then to have an event to kind of watch afterwards, see someone win the belt. Last year, spoiler, Temper won the belt.
Yep.
And it was so cool. And I mean, Alicia did not just because she's watching, but she did a pristine job designing it. All white snake skin, black metal plates with the silver etching.
It kind of reminded me of like the White Ranger from the Power Rangers.
Oh, okay, yeah, sick,
scheme.
yeah. Oh, it was so cool. Our logo, Street Fighter 6. It was really, really cool. The sponsor logo's on there. The finals were 10-15. Okay. From what I remember, Valle had a format where there were sort of 2 groups, low tier and high tier, and every week members would promote from their group based on their results that week. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and back in the day, Dan did something like this at GU, and we had enough players that he actually did like groups A, B, and C, and we did round robin within those groups. And he accidentally put someone in B group that should not have been in B group, and they went undefeated, and then I forget. I think they had him. I forget what it was. I think it was like whoever was like the bottom of A and the top of B would fight, and then whoever won would go to A, and whoever lost would go to B. So you can like retain your spot. And I think he like beat the person to get an A, and then he beat everyone in A group too.
Oh my
god,
crap. Jesus! Yeah, definitely a miscalculation.
Yeah,
there.
It was not me though.
Yeah.
I was in B group, I think. Yeah, I was in B group.
Well, also one year we did a, I think I'm it's like not the right name for it, but like a junior Ranbat. It was basically like the people that weren't in the top 8 of last year. There was going to be a Ranbat for them.
Yeah.
And all of the players that had been part of the earlier Ranbat were now coaches, and they would watch the matches and be able to tell the players, hey, this is why I think you lost, or hey, he's been doing this a lot now, because this way now it was a way to help and coach the players, make the people that don't usually get to feel too good maybe feel a little bit better or see some results and improvements, and know that this was something to spotlight on them. So I wouldn't even be opposed to doing something like that.
Yeah, at Havenshine we used to do, and I would like push for this. We would do a free amateur bracket, and it was different too because it was on a Sunday. So like we would get there pretty early, and we would have like 4 hours until bracket started. So we would do a free amateur bracket before the bracket started, and essentially ban any players that we thought was too good.
Yeah.
And we would run that, and then we would do the paid Street Fighter bracket, and I think it was like whoever won the amateur bracket would get in free, and then we would like tell the people who entered the amateur bracket that like the point isn't that it's free. The point is like this is warm up to get you more practice, more games, more bracket experience, so that you can also enter the paid bracket and most likely go like 1 and 2 or 0 and 2 or something like that. But we really encourage them to enter both brackets. So that you shouldn't just come enter the free bracket, do what you do, and then not enter the.
You won the prelims, right? And
Right,
now you're like, all right, I'm going home, guys. See you later.
Right.
Leach says I was considering dropping the 3 points for grands and just standardizing the 2 to 1 point format. They do color on the plates now too, so get ready. Oh Jesus, that would be. Yeah, exactly. They would do a round robin in the groups. That's it. Okay. The Challenger Series we did was the Challenger Series. That's what it was called. Okay, Challenger Series. Not like Junior Ranbat, which sounds adorable. And this is during the Guilty Gear times too for PCG, so that was all first to 3. But those games just go so much quicker.
Yeah, that in that case, first to 3 is not increasing the set count. That's what it has to be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's standardizing set play, right?
Yeah. But I would definitely be down to do some kind of a point system. What would be interesting is if we did a point system like the Ranbat, but then in the end, it's not the top 8 players fight each other. It's you essentially create teams from the rankings, right? So like maybe player 1 and player 8 team up, and player 2 and 7 team up, and
okay, that's interesting.
Or even if we did one where like you take your top 8, and then it's okay, the top 4 players are not playing their coaches, and players 5 through 8 are playing, and you assign them each a coach.
Yeah. That's a good idea too. I think it's great that DeJourno was thinking of the other players, though, just to try and get some extra things out there. And it was a discussion for the day.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely went on.
Yeah, I think ultimately my feeling on it is that because the weekly start around 8, well, the tournament starts at 8, and a lot of times we don't get out of there till around 11. And so by the time I get home, it's like 12, and it's a work night.
Yeah.
It's Monday night.
It's Monday night. Yeah, exactly.
And so increasing the sets from first to 2 to first to 3 would most likely cause it to end even later than it already does. And so for the sake of time, I think, well, for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is for the sake of time, we should keep it first to 2. But also I think it's much better and relevant practice for if and when we go to majors, because 99% of the matches we play is going to be first to 2. And it's going to be about, against very strong players we don't know. They're going to be using weird characters with weird tech. I'm going to run into a Lily that knows a setup that I've never seen before. So I need to, I won't have the luxury of a first to 3 against that Lily player to figure out what the setup is. I have to adapt faster.
What about, I've seen recently the topic of coaching on Twitter.
So it's actually, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was just, talking a little bit about, maybe doing something where one player coaches another player. But yeah, that was a hot topic on Twitter the other day where they were asking, should coaching be allowed? And I feel like this comes up in the FGC every couple of years.
Yeah.
So personally, for me as a player, I think coaching would be helpful for me, and I think it would be helpful for my opponent. And I think that if I didn't have a coach and my opponent did have a coach, I don't think I would feel negatively about that. Like, if I'm playing someone and the set is close and they're getting coaching and then I lose, that's still on me. Like, I can't blame the coach for myself losing.
Because he's seeing something that you're not to adapt to.
Right. Like whether the coach is there or not, right? Like, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that without coaching, I would have barely won, and with the coaching, I would have barely lost. Well, that's still on me. I shouldn't say no coaching so I don't lose. It's no, I need to get better so that I win even when you have a coach.
Because you can't be relying on coaching. It's just an extra little bit to, I think it enhances the set that you're about to watch. You're going to see a much higher brain set and not go, oh wait, what happened there? Oh, that was I mean, you'll still see weird interactions, but I just mean, like, I feel like you'll just see, oh my God, the setup. Oh, he was so prepared for that. When you watch some of these high level plays, I feel like obviously these guys are playing each other a lot. At Capcom Cup and at these big events, they are in the back practicing and playing against each other all the time. So they know these setups, and there's got to be times where they're like, I just fought so-and-so. I've got them in bracket in 20 minutes. I need to think right now about a setup to beat something that they were just getting me with.
Right.
and that level up, and I know that I love responding to coaching. I absolutely love that. Just an extra set of eyes to something that I'm not seeing. And again, I think it makes me play better, which forces them to play better. And I just think you get a better set overall.
Yeah, and I think that if we like if coaching becomes a normal thing, it happens at locals, it happens at majors, on and off stream. If just coaching is a normal thing in the FGC in the near future, then I just think there needs to be like standardized rules around it, where like you can only coach between games and not between rounds, for example.
Yeah.
That there's maybe not an extremely strict time limit, but a reasonable time limit. Like the amount of time that you would expect someone to go back to character select to regroup themselves, maybe a minute or two.
I was gonna say a minute or two. I think that's fair. Yeah.
That would be like a soft rule that like you can't go to character select and then talk to your coach for 15 minutes.
Shit, yeah, of course. Hold up the whole tournament just because, like that video. Oh man, I can't forget his name. He was facing against PR Balrog. Ah man, he was part of the Trinity with Christine. He picks up the phone and he's calling someone. And he's trying. I don't know. He's trying to get some information. PR Balrog's like, come on, like get with it. What are you doing? You're making a phone call right now? It's bracket.
I know who it is. I think.
Oh man,
I can see his face. Yeah, in my head.
I know his face too. I just can't think of his name. Hold on, let me see if I can look it up. FGC Trinity.
It might just be coming up as people who have a gamer tag. Because it's like 3 Ken players, right?
Yeah. It's Chris T.
I can see his face in my head. It's driving me crazy. Because there was a time where he had to like stop playing because like
him right there. What's
yes. I cannot not think of Julio.
Julio. Okay, thank you. Julio
Fuentes, I think.
Yes.
Sorry, Julio.
Street Fighter V Holy Trinity. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's what they were calling themselves during this episode of or episodes of Excellent Adventures, not Bogus Journeys. That's the other guy.
Yeah, so it was Chris T, Julio, and Brent is cool.
There you go. Those are those faces. And watching Chris T age over the years, kind of insane.
He's still young, isn't he? Like
isn't
he like 29, I think? 28, 29? I
couldn't even tell you.
He's just a baby.
Yeah, he's still really, really young.
Well, people forget that when he was like becoming a name in the FGC during the Street Fighter 4 time, he was like 18. He was like 17, 18. Yeah, he was a baby. So. Yeah.
So yeah, when you talk about coaching, that's one of the first things I think of is that little bit right there. But I think coaching should be regulated. I think it should be at locals and at major tournaments everywhere. And I think we will all see, because there's people that have like sports mentality coaches.
Oh yeah,
right. So that's helping them out throughout the week to help them to get to tournament, or even help with how they're practicing online and things like that.
Right, and also like if it becomes a normal thing, then any like group of sponsored players, like any team, is gonna have at least, well, I guess it depends if the if the players are just coaching each other, or if they actually have a coach hired, and like that's their job is to analyze and be the the voice in their ear to point things out while the other players are off playing their sets or whatever, so that they're never without a coach.
What do you guys think in the chat about coaching and how you think it should be regulated and all that? What is your take on the whole bit?
Yeah, I also think it like as the FGC grows and the prize pools grow and being a competitor as a job becomes more and more common, it's just going to be necessary. Like what other sports don't have any coaching?
100%. Yeah, 100%. No, you're going to need that. You're talking $1 million now. Shanghai just won $300,000. That's a year's salary and then some. And if that's on the line, reoccurring yearly, of course, yeah, you're gonna want to put the money into that team. I think that's another interesting thing too, that there's any other type of sport, players, people care about teams, what team they on, right? Recently, Mena RD left Bandits and went to different team. I forget the name.
I don't recall. I have a terrible memory today. I'm sorry.
I think the reason why I don't even remember is because it seems insignificant. Teams and sponsorships, liquid knuckle do, liquid means nothing
Right.
to me, right? And things like that.
Right. Is it Red Bull Punk? What is it now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If there's nothing being represented, like when these teams fall apart because they're not making any money, but they're paying all this money to coach these players and send them out just to wear the jerseys and stuff, you have to wonder, yeah, how come, why, why aren't these companies making money? Because what money is there to stand to win? You saw Punk win, so now you're gonna buy a FlyQuest jersey after this year's Evo, spend $60 or something.
Yeah, for teams like Red Bull, I think it makes a lot more sense because you're advertising a brand, and that brand has sellable product, which is the energy drinks as well as merch or whatever,
which backs the players and and all that, right?
Right, but for a team that doesn't sell a product like an energy drink, I mean, I'm sure it's a perfectly viable business model. I just don't understand it personally.
Yeah,
Like, I haven't dug into
I don't
it.
understand it either.
But yeah, and to your point, because the way the tournaments are in the FGC, it's really just individuals. So you can be on a team and you can cheer for each other, and that's great and all. But like, I don't know the names of most of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
And even if there's a team that I quote unquote like, I don't know all the players who are on that team. I literally know, like, I'm looking for individuals. I'm like, where's Punk? Where's Smug? Where's,
Exactly. Regardless of team or affiliation, it's got no merit or standing. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm voting for all Echo Fox this year or whatever, Team Razor. No, all that stuff's, it holds no value.
Right. And like you and I are really into the FGC. It's like one of our main hobbies. Like, we're watching tournaments all the time. We're keeping up with the FGC news. And we don't even know who's on what team.
Yeah.
So people who watch it once a month or less, teams are not existent.
It's irrelevant. Yeah. So I have to wonder what does that hold and how. So, but teams make a big difference when it comes to Street Fighter League, which I didn't like Street Fighter League the first few years I watched it because I was, again, like you said, I want the player. I don't want to see a team fall apart because of one thing and that. But the last 2 years, especially Street Fighter 6 last year with Street Fighter League, it was really, really engaging and awesome. Good production. I tried watching Street Fighter League Japan last week, and there was so much downtime between matches.
Oh my God.
So many ads. I was like, this is boring, and they're playing from home.
Oh, so my God.
There's no interviews. There's no engagement at all. At least Street Fighter League in America, even though America's so much bigger than Japan and we're all playing in person, I find it so much more engaging and easier to watch.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, not to keep complaining, but that's one thing I dislike about watching FGC tournaments live is there's huge gap between the matches. There's so much downtime. It's so much better and so much more enjoyable for me to wait until the next day and then find it on YouTube and skip all the commercials.
Because you could easily just look through the bracket, figure out, oh, that's when Daigo lost. I got to go back and see that. Let me find this was pools or blah, 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 watch it. And then later on, I'll watch top 8 as I'm chilling, eating dinner, calling it a night.
Right. And that's the other thing too, is like a lot of times at these tournaments, like from top 32 down to top 8 is only mildly entertaining. I'm way more interested in top 8 and like top 4 specifically. So if I can just wait till the next day and then find the YouTube video and basically just watch like the last 4 matches, and that's, in my mind, like that's the most exciting part of the tournament. So like, that's what I care about. I'm not a big sports fan, but I'm sure that'd be the equivalent of like skipping the first 3 quarters and just watching the 4th quarter. Like that's what really counts.
How did we get here to the end? Let me just see that. That's it, right?
Right. Like, because when you start the 4th quarter, like, okay, they're, each team, the difference between scores is like 9 points or whatever. And then you see how it plays out. How they got there, I'm sure if you're a huge sports fan, you care a lot, but like that's the exciting point is the 4th quarter.
Especially when someone gets like a big lead in the beginning and then you're watching 4 quarters of like, oh my God, like just end this already.
Right. Like, who's going to win.
Yeah. No, you don't catch any of that, right? In fighting games, sometimes if you're like, all right, like I need to, I'm going to grab a shower. And then you come back and you're like, oh, I missed that match. I was looking forward to that. Jeez. DeJourno says, I remember when people would bust out their phones to look at quote unquote notes just for some mental damage memes, and they were really just swiping on Tinder or something.
I've not intentionally done that, but I've like been in between rounds and like been in my own head, like I need to distract myself for 10 seconds and just like pull up my phone. I'm not looking at Street Fighter notes. I'm just like scrolling Twitter for 20 seconds and then okay, back to what I was doing.
I'm gonna give this 10 thumb pushes. Scroll as hard as I can, and then I'm going back.
But I've been consciously trying to not do that and like not touch my phone like in the middle of bracket, because I think it feels nice to be distracted for a few seconds, but I don't think it's helpful.
Because even if it's just for a few seconds, you find it hard to come back sometimes.
I don't know if it's hard to come back. I just think it does, like whether it negatively affects me or not, it definitely doesn't help, right? Like
Okay.
it's either like completely benign and doesn't make a
Neutral,
difference.
yeah.
It's either neutral or it's negative, and I don't.
Either way,
I shouldn't have to worry about it. I should just not be playing with my phone in the like in between games in a set.
Even while I'm playing, I'll take my Apple Watch off because the last thing I want is to feel that vibration on my wrist or in my pocket. My phone's always out of the pocket. All the stuff comes out of the pockets.
Speaking of watch, I've actually had this thought over the years of playing competitive fighting games that I think it'd be really interesting and potentially helpful to be wearing a heart monitoring watch, and then in between games check my heart rate, and if it's above whatever number I deem too high, go back to character select and cool off.
Oh wow, yeah. No, that would be like an experiment to take, right? To see, or even just to like know, like, oh my god, I think it's spiking. There's moments where I know, we're playing or I'm in tournament. I'm like, okay, like I am doing way too much. I can feel the anxiety. I need to take a deep breath and I need to chill and just do nothing for a few seconds.
Yeah, and I think about that and I try to use it to my advantage at times where most of the time in bracket I don't take very long pauses between games. I get right into the next game. But oftentimes I consider it and I think, how stressed and anxious am I feeling versus how stressed and anxious do I think my opponent is? If I think they're more stressed than I am, I want to get back in now so they don't have time to regain their composure.
Yeah. I don't even want them thinking about it. Get right into it.
That's another thing too. I think about this a lot too. Like if I'm playing a set and I'm winning comfortably, I don't have the monitor on, but I feel like my heart rate is very much under control.
Yeah.
And then when it's a really close set or it's like a nail biter, like down to the last game, last round, I'm sure my heart rate is spiking out of control, and it's way harder to play that way. And so it'd be like nice to know what my heart rate is and like when it's spiking, and then try to like do a better job controlling that in those tense situations.
So what about if that goes back to coaching then? What if that, like, there was that one point where I told Temper to go up and talk to his brother. I was like, just tell me he's doing a good job. He didn't need to tell him anything, but the other guy had gotten some coaching. So I just wanted it to look fair, But even just being able to have someone come into your ear and say, hey, like, you're doing a great job. Or, hey, just chill out. Take a few deep breaths. To know. My brother always knows. So when he's watching me and I'm playing, he always knows. And he'll tell me, like, I can even hear him with the headphones, like, okay, like, slow down. Hey, relax. And stuff like that. So I think that definitely helps. And that could segue you calming down and forcing you to take those moments. Because if you are like, no, let me just go, because I really want to play. No, like, take a breath. Let me talk to you for a second. I don't have to really say much to you or give you, hey, that's -8, but hey, like, just take a second, deep breaths.
Yeah, and to that point, there's different types of coaching, right? There's like emotional coaching, where like, hey, calm down, or like, hey, go back to character select. But then there's other like more technical sides of coaching where you can be like, you're trying to perfect parry their safe jumps and they're doing like empty jump throw, empty jump low, just block. Just block and take the throw. Or same thing, like if they're throw looping you to death and you're taking too many throws, it's like, dude, bust a ODDP. You're going to lose either way, so you might as well do something that helps.
Just get them off you, fight for a little bit longer. Any recommendation for building a local? I'm from Honduras. Wow. Well, welcome. How's it going? Ayo, bono. I mean, hey man, starting a local takes a lot of work, but if you've got friends that play and you can find a space to congregate at least, regularly, get a bunch of setups at the games and just start posting it on social media, things will happen.
Yeah, my first piece of advice is start your local at a player's house if possible. Like if someone has a finished basement, or if someone has an apartment, they live by themselves, or they have a roommate and they would be cool with having even just like 4 or 5 people over on like a Saturday night, like getting players together for organized playing is the first step to turning that later into a tournament that could later be at like a legitimate venue. But I would say start as small as humanly possible. You don't have to spend a bunch of money on setups. You don't have to, have like real flyers or anything. You just need 5 to 6 players that can get together in person.
Yeah, play with what you got and let it evolve naturally. I think what was really cool about Button Club is Alicia, myself, and Jared had a vision of what we thought uh, a weekly tournament series should be, and we just implemented that. And even though there were things that we didn't get right in the beginning, we knew that time was on our side, and in a few weeks we'd have enough money to do it through door fees, or we could kind of see how this was going, or hey, you know what, we actually ran into a different problem that would be solved by this, so it's a good thing we didn't grab this yet because now this is going to do the. So it's really just trial and error. But if you're on Twitter and if you have a Discord and you're out and about, there's a lot of ways to do it. The only thing that's really going to stop you is not doing it. So any little effort in the beginning to get yourself going, as long as you stick with it, should go a long way.
Yeah, another option is to actually start with doing like an online local. Like if you know players around you, or if you can reach out to people and people say, yeah, I'm within a 1 hour drive of you, and you can say, okay, let's hand select these 10 players that are all saying, we all play Street Fighter, we're all within an hour drive of each other, even though we've never met in person. Let's organize this online tournament, which truly is a local, because you're not playing people from different countries or from way too far away. So it's like, okay, we're local to each other. In the future, if we can get together in person, this is a reasonable radius that we're casting our web in. But let's start running it regularly online. If you have a capture card, you could potentially stream it.
Yeah. And that's how you get more eyes on you. You know what was a big help for us that started getting eyes on us from people that didn't know about us through social media or word of mouth was a Start GG.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, that people will scroll Start GG looking for tournaments.
So once you do that, you've kind of helped, officiate yourself a little bit into something a little more serious, and people will be able to find you without, actually looking for whatever you decide to call your tournaments. And if there's nothing in Honduras, that is unfortunate. But if there is something else close to you, maybe within another hour or so, go by and check it out and ask some questions from them and see what they've done to get started. I really do appreciate your question, though. Thank you so much for your support there, Bono.
Yeah, and if anyone in the world is looking for a local and you believe that there isn't one or whatever,
true, yeah.
Ultra David has put together an Excel spreadsheet that has all the locals in the world. I believe if you look it up on Event Hubs, they have like a post about it, so you can easily search it through there and find that, and open this Excel spreadsheet and scroll down to your country, your state, wherever, and you'd be surprised how many locals are out there that you might not be aware of.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if there isn't one in Honduras, or there isn't one within a reasonable driving distance to you, and you end up starting a local, reach out and get your local added to that list.
Yeah. And if you do get anything off the ground there, Bono, send Button Club some of your information. We will share it on Twitter in any way that we can to help get you guys out there. We do have Street Fighter and Smash local. Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so go check that out. Maybe take some notes, see what you like, or maybe even get involved there. Start by helping out, and then that'll give you what you need, the information, and kind of like practice to start on your own, which is something similar to what I did.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I wanted to bring up is TOing fighting game tournaments is not easy. And so if you can get experience where it's kind of not your responsibility, right? Like if you're volunteering at another local and you make a mistake or things run slow or whatever, like it's not really on you. Like you're still learning.
Yeah.
And so like it's not your tournament that you messed up. So you kind of want to get that experience when you can, and then a year later or whatever, if you start your own local, you've got that experience. You're not going to make those same mistakes again, because the first impression's everything. Like if people come to your local and it runs like crap, they're probably not going to come back.
Yeah.
And so you kind of need to get good at it first before you branch out on your own.
That's true. Yeah. Make your mistakes somewhere else.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I'm sure anyone who starts a business, right? Like you do a tattoo shop. It's like, you don't want to start a tattoo shop when you're a novice or a beginner, right?
No, my family was like, you should just open up a shop already. And I was only tattooing for a couple of years. Like, there's no way. Like, no way. Like, I need to be amazing at this first,
Right.
Thanks for value advice. Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm glad we could help. That was a great question. Do you guys have any other questions in the chat? Is there anything else you want to talk about? We can run out for some extra questions for maybe like 15 minutes or so. And
yeah. I'm down to answer questions.
Call it an episode, unless there's anything else in particular that you want to watch or talk about.
I just want to mention quickly, Terry's coming out really soon, right? It's like 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to trying out that character, and I'm interested to see. Um, so Street Fighter 6, they've been saying that they're going to be doing patches more often. And so I assume that means every time a new character comes out, there's going to be a tiny balance patch with it. So I'm excited to see if there's going to be like a Terry patch and what's going to be in that.
Yeah.
See if they do anything about Ken's crouch medium kick.
Oh, what do you mean? It's fine. It's perfectly fine. There's a patch coming up for, was it the 1st and 2nd of September? The overnight there.
Wait, for Street Fighter?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I logged on last night and it said something for September 1st and 2nd. So I was like, oh, okay. Just little bits of information probably beforehand. I saw a meterless combo on Twitter from Terry, and it was sick, and it did a good grip of damage. No, I want to say like 2,700 around there, maybe a little more, maybe a little bit less. It was really cool looking.
It's interesting that you say that, because I feel like Luke is the king of meterless damage because he has the perfect knuckle system. So if you can hit like 1 or 2 perfect knuckles in the same combo, the damage is and should be arguably higher than other characters' meterless combos because he had to time it. So when I hear people be like, "Oh man, this character can do like 2K without meter," and I'm just like, "Okay, don't bring Luke into training mode and see what he can do."
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. I think I'm just gonna basically like getting Street Fighter 6 on PC is like re-inspired me in certain different ways, right? Wanting to go online and play to other characters.
Yeah, tell me about that. How much better is it on PC in your opinion?
Man, so the only thing that I have downgraded by going to PC is that I'm stuck on 1080p.
Oh, you were at 1440?
1440 on the PlayStation 5. But boo friggity who, it runs amazing.
Yeah, and also I'm sure with a lot of video games, going from 1080 to 1440p is noticeable. With fighting games, like there's so many other things that are more important than the resolution, like the input delay and like whether or not the screen tearing and all that. So if it's running smooth at 1080p, it's like that's not a problem.
It runs great, and I've been able to go up on other settings and stuff because we upgraded the RAM on it recently.
Oh, nice.
Thanks to Boltazo. But no, man, PC feels amazing. It feels
good. Like a different game.
It really does. And I will say this. So I thought that, of course it's still early, but I thought maybe playing on PC, because it's been like 2 weeks now on PC, that I thought when I would go back to console, it would feel very odd. And I actually felt like I was playing better on console. There were combos that I would do on console before that I'd be like, I don't have any confidence. Like, I'm going to try this, okay? I'm going to try and get this out, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to land it. I nail it a lot more consistently on PC. The point where like, oh wow, I think that helped me nail the timing so that when I go onto console, I've nailed it better.
Right, like once you like recalibrate yourself very slightly to adjust from the PC timing to the PS5 timing. Yeah, I think it's the consistency, the confidence, and then also probably playing on PC feels so good, it makes you want to practice more, and then you put in that practice, and now you can do the combo consistently.
So that feels really good. I feel like the input I don't think the input latency is a huge difference, right? A frame.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. I think I personally notice it more for 2 reasons. One, because I play Luke and I have the perfect knuckle system. But also at home on my PC, I'm playing 240 hertz. So going from home 240 hertz and dealing with the perfect knuckles to do PS5 at the local at 144 hertz, I think I notice it a little bit more.
Okay.
But I agree with you that typically, if you're not worrying about Luke's knuckles, if your monitor at home and if you're using 144 PC versus 144 PS5, the difference is negligible.
I feel like I tried to explain it to my brother, and I feel that we were looking up controllers one time, and someone was talking about how fast the controller pings back and forth a signal to be able to send it right at the right time, right? I feel that the space between my signal getting sent to the PC is just like tighter. It's a little more focused.
Right, it's more consistent.
It's more consistent. Where I feel like the bandwidth for inputs on the PlayStation feels wider, so it's easier to miss.
Yeah, so this is an interesting topic. I forget what controllers are normally on PC. What the what do you call it? The ping or the
Yeah, like the hertz or
the
something.
refresh rate or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
of like how often it's checking if you have pressed an input. And so I forget exactly what I did, but like I Googled it, I found a YouTube video, whatever. Um, and I changed the settings so that my hitbox on my PC has a ping rate of like 1,000 hertz.
So you overclocked your controller.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
overclocked it. Yep.
Okay, interesting. Because that was the big thing that uh NYC Furby was doing, right? Wasn't he like overclocking a bunch of like computers and controllers for a while to optimize the experience for everybody?
Yeah, he was optimized a lot of things, and this was back in Street Fighter V, where Street Fighter V, if you didn't optimize it, depending on your PC and like how your setup is, it could feel like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Where Street Fighter 6, even if you're playing on PS5, 60 hertz, it probably feels fine. Street Fighter 5 actually felt like crap if your setup wasn't correct.
Wasn't optimal.
And he was taking setups that were, this feels awful, well beyond this feels great. It was like, this feels like something completely different.
Yeah.
And in a game like Street Fighter V, where whiff punishing and single hit confirms was so important, that little difference was like a game changer if you're playing competitively. Where in Street Fighter 6, like you can just press crouch menu kick into drive rush, and obviously it's better if you confirm it, but if you don't confirm it, it's not a huge deal, because like you can confirm after you do the drive rush. It's like, well, if that got blocked, I can just 4-frame and I'm safe. And if it hit, then I can just go into medium button or whatever else you need to go into to continue your combo. But in Street Fighter 5, it was like I have to max range crouch medium kick into heavy DP with Ken, for example. And so if you don't confirm that, or you misconfirm it and they block your DP, you're dead.
And with all those variables of the controller sending the signal, the this getting the signal, sending it to here, and then the refresh rate, there's so much that can get lost into that. So I thought that was really a cool moment, which is why Defend the North, not this past year, but the year before, was such a big deal, because it was all PC.
Yeah, it was all PC
for an open open entrance tournament, which you don't usually see. Sometimes you'll see it on invite only tournaments and e-leagues and stuff like that. That'll run on PC, but
right, because they have a finite number of setups. If there's 32 players invited, they may only need 16 setups.
Bonuses: I play Tekken on PC and just try playing on console, and I'm gonna say I failed. Right? I mean, that's what you're trying to say. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's a difference. Oh, I remember a time during the Guilty Gear Strive days where PC players and console players, like,
there was no cross.
There was no cross, and honestly, if you had them all in the same room, you could probably start a fight, because one would say, "No, this is better. This is regulated. No, this is better. This is the best way to be playing." And the input delay difference was huge for that game.
Right, and I think that really is the argument. I don't think anyone's arguing that console plays better than PC, assuming that your PC is strong enough to play the game. I think the argument is the consistency factor. Like if PS5 is the standard and you're going to majors and you're gonna be playing on PS5, and from one PS5 to another PS5, if the monitors have good refresh rates and they're decent brand monitors, then you're pretty much playing on the same setup every single time. Where PCs can be a lot more volatile. If the PC is underpowered, it will play like crap. Like I was saying, like I play on PC at home with 240 hertz monitor, and it feels way different than playing PS5 144.
I can't even imagine what that feels like.
I can see the frames.
Yeah, I can see the frames. I would love to try that and see what that felt like for a bit, and see what a difference that would be. I bet that's one of those things too. It's like, how do you go back? It's probably best that I don't try it. Right?
It might be better that you don't go back, but I mean, you got a tast of it playing on PS5.
I did, yeah.
PC,
on PC, yeah. Very, very happy. So yeah, I've got a different gamer tag online, so I feel like I'm smurfing a bit, and I feel like it doesn't matter because that name's not really known to me. Yeah, and just to get back into mastering just feels so good.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because back in Street Fighter V, I didn't play a lot of ranked, so my skill level was much higher than my rank. And in Street Fighter V, you couldn't do a placement test.
Yeah.
So there were times where I would hop on ranked and my account would be diamond, and I would go from diamond to super diamond in an hour.
You and Temper were mentioning how much you guys love the rank system in Street Fighter 6 by comparison.
Yeah, by comparison, yeah, Street Fighter 6. So I still hate ranked. right? Don't get me wrong. I still don't like it.
The beast of ranked, not just how ranked works, right?
Right, yeah, I hate ranked. However, if I'm comparing Street Fighter 6 ranked to Street Fighter 5 ranked, it's so much better. Like, not only is the matchmaking better, the connections are smoother. You can tell if they're on Wi-Fi or not, which in Street Fighter 5 was like some matches were so unplayable. It wasn't even funny.
And you didn't have the cool feature to hold start to try and cancel out of the match.
Yeah, which doesn't ever.
It doesn't really work because you both have to agree that the match sucks in order to quit it.
Right, and I think on a lot of connections, it feels much worse for
It's
one player than the
one-sided.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also like if you're trying to cancel the match because it feels like crap for you, then the other guy's like, it might feel like crap for me, but if it feels like crap for him, I might be able to steal his points.
Yeah. I'm taking these points. Nah, get better internet, son, or maybe I should, but whatever.
Yeah, you get good.
Yep.
But yeah, the connections are better. You can see if they're on Wi-Fi or not. And then the MR system just changes everything because it really matters. Like if you win or if you lose, 2-1 or 2-0. Depending on the MR differential between you and your opponent changes drastically how much MR you gain and lose. So I forget the exact numbers, but it's something like if you and your opponent have almost the same MR, then the winner gains 8 and the loser loses 8. And then if the difference is greater, like if you have 1900 MR and your opponent has 1400 MR and you win, I think you get like 1 point or something like that. And vice versa. If you have 1900 MR and you lose to a 1400 MR, I forget the number. I think you lose like 32 points.
Oh my god. Which could be like what, 8 games or something.
Right, losing right, and that's the other thing too. Like losing 8 games as a 1900 MR, which I'm assuming that means most of the time you're ranking with someone who's weaker than you, isn't happening very often. So losing 32 points in one shot like that, and that's not even, So it's just it's a huge thing, and so it really breeds consistency. Where in Street Fighter 5, I felt like it was the wild, wild west. That it was like round 1 fight and people are just going nuts. Where you can do it in Street Fighter 6, right? Because you have meter at 99 seconds. You can drive rush at 99 seconds. You can OD fireball. If you're really crazy, you can ODDP at 99 seconds. Yeah, you can dash up ODDP. But yeah, the rank system makes you not want to play so wild because your points are so easily lost and so much harder to gain. And also, I feel like because the point system works as intended, a lot of times when you run into somebody and you see how many MR they have, it's actually very telling on how they play. So, like, if you run into someone who has 1400 MR, like you know from experience, like, okay, when you get to master, you start at 1500, and then in theory you go up from there. And so, if someone is 1400 MR, that means it probably took them a very long time to get to master rank. They probably have a lot of bad habits. There's probably, something either they're taking too many risks, or there's a common scenario that they don't understand and they're picking the wrong option, right? Like if you safe jump them and they're ripping ODDPs left and right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's like, that's the reason why you're at 1400 MR. And so, or less, right? Like that's the other thing too, is I don't know if there's a bottom limit to the MR. Like, does it stop at 1000? I have no idea.
I don't know, but I just know that you can never get out of master regardless. But there has to be like a minimum cap that they're just like, okay, hey, sorry, I guess you're just stuck here.
Right. So I don't know if there's a low limit. It'd be really interesting if someone has like 75 MR.
Oh my god.
I would have to assume it was on purpose.
Well, because I think either way you're gaining LP on top of it.
Yes, that's true. Because
it's the LP that's keeping you in master rank, technically, right?
Technically, yes. And so because I don't care too much about the points, but I only look at the MR points, every so often I'll like take a glimpse at my LP and be like, holy crap, it's like 6 figures.
Which that gets into that is a tell for me, like what this player is up to basically. I'm like, oh, this person plays a lot and wins a lot, I would imagine.
Yeah. Which leverless controller do you recommend?
You gonna make us pull them out?
Want to pull some out? I can grab mine real quick.
I was gonna pull mine out to show you a little something.
So that is a loaded question because I feel like the biggest difference between leverless controllers is the price tag.
Ooh, just the price tag.
It's not the only difference. I think it's the biggest difference.
Okay,
I think you can pay $400 to get a good one, and you can pay $200 to get a good one.
I agree with that.
But yeah, I would say also the price is telling. So these are the hitbox brands. So the price is telling. Like if someone is selling a hitbox for under $100, it's probably shit.
Yeah.
Don't buy it.
Yeah. I would say regardless of what you get, just make sure that you get something that is do your research, something that's, rated highly.
Yeah, I would recommend, because the other thing too is like when you buy a hitbox, like you're gonna buy that hitbox, you might do some upgrades over the next few years, but you're gonna be using that hitbox for like 5 to 10 years, right? And so if you have the money and you want to splurge and get a $300 or a $400 hitbox, it'll probably end up relatively being worth it. But what I would say is don't gamble on a brand you've never heard of. Right? Like if Hitbox brand is $250 and there's a brand you've never heard of and it looks good and it's, $220, it's like pay the extra $30, get the brand that's known and trusted. That also, if for some reason you were to have an issue, like Hitbox is a known brand, like they must have customer service, right? Like you can call them, like you can email them, they'll respond to you, they'll probably fix it for free or send you a new one or whatever they do. But if you've never heard of the brand, you're taking a huge gamble to save what, like $30 or $50.
Yeah, which will go, and then like you'll have it, it's either junk, you try and sell it. Do your research, look online, says Rez. Absolutely. Alicia says, this is how a podcast goes to 3 hours tonight.
Yeah, the podcast with no topic is the longest.
Yeah, there you go, right?
No, yeah. So if you're asking me personally, I would say just get a Hitbox brand. They go on sale once in a while. I think during Evo, they had a sale where the Hitbox was $200 and it came with the converter that lets you play.
It was $250 with the free converter, technically, because they're normally $250 and then you have to buy the converter.
Right, but I think they actually did a double.
Oh,
sale.
Really? Oh, wow.
So normally they're $250 by themselves. At one point they did a deal where it was $250 and you got a free converter. And I think it was at Evo they did like a double deal where it was $200 and a free converter, which was a total steal. That's a great deal. And honestly, how much I wish they just costed all the time.
I'll tell you this, and I'll try and be as brief as possible and answering your question. Watch Ricky's face when I say, I have a lot of controllers.
Oh my God.
I have a lot of controllers, sticks and leverless. And the reason why I've been playing on my Hitbox a lot lately compared to the small, like, snack box and the very large, expensive Victrix,
Victrix, yep.
Is when we were at Defend the North, I saw someone playing on a Kitsune. And it was from an angle that I never got to really appreciate someone playing a Kitsune. I've played it on my lap and have been like, yeah, it's fine, it's whatever. We've done a review, check it out, right? But I saw the amount of force he was putting, and I saw the front of his leverless doing this.
Yeah, like dancing.
Rising on his lap. And I never noticed that before, and I was like, that seems to be... Now, that would match the same footprint as the Hot 42 leverless that you're talking about. My brother has 3 of them. He loves them. He swears by it. Great price, great quality, perfect footprint, whatever. I think the Hitbox is the perfect in-between of overly compact, barely fits on my lap, but it fit great in my backpack.
Which is the snack box,
Which is the snack box. And then this is way too big for 12 buttons enclosure at a $400 aluminum case like the Victrix. I think this is the perfect happy medium. When I want to switch my buttons, I can do it. It takes 2 seconds. It's 6 screws. Yep. I can change artwork. It's like just the standard. It fits on my lap perfectly. It's like the size of a keyboard.
Yeah, and then isn't it the different Hitbox ones have different thicknesses?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thinner than mine?
Mine's
mine's a little bit thicker.
Yeah. They changed the leads on it. That's why they went with like 90-degree.
Yeah, so
leads
like
on the back.
I think mine was a little bit thicker out of necessity because the leads were straight down. They needed room for the wires, and by going with the 90-degree leads, they had the luxury of shortening it, which I'm sure was for cost measures. Less material, less product.
Money. Yeah, and just easier to move around. But the Victrix is a great controller. I will say that it's a great controller, but you are carrying a very large, very heavy piece of equipment around, where this a lot more transportable. You notice anything different?
Oh, the button colors?
Huh?
Are those the gamer fingers?
Those are the gamer fingers, baby.
When did you get them? Did you get to play on them?
Yeah, so they came in a week early. As you know, gamer fingers are expensive.
They are very, very expensive. While I think the quality is extremely high, it's hard for me to recommend them because they're like double the price of regular buttons.
And they're hard to get. You can I had to get mine through AliExpress in order to be able to pick the colors that I wanted. Otherwise, if I went through Amazon, I could have gotten like all black rim and red buttons if I wanted or whatever. But I wanted to kind of pick, and it took me 3 days to pick which colors I
Of
wanted.
course, yeah, of course.
Because I'm not good at deciding, but I decided on pink and that like tealy light blue.
So cotton candy colors.
Kind of like very like vaporwave kind of colors, right? You know?
Looks cool.
And then I like the 2 macros at the end to be, something that kind of like matches the background. And so, yeah, I've played on them for 2 nights. Oh, yeah, that's the story I was going to say. They're expensive as hell.
They're expensive as hell.
And I was expecting them to come in next week. Well, Alicia's out walking the dog. I'm sleeping. I sleep in late because I'm up late. And the doorbell rings, and it scares the shit out of me. He knows how I sleep. I sleep, I get scared easy, startled easy. So the doorbell rings. It scares me awake, and it rings twice. So I run out to my front area here where I pick you up all the time. No shirt on, basketball shorts, hair a mess, and my eyes kind of half open. And there's a package left on top of my laundry. My laundry bags are out there for my laundry guy.
Yep.
The guy comes right back around. He goes, "Oh, is this you?" Mind you, I'm holding the package, and it says my name on it. But how... I could just be reading the package. Yeah, it's me. Oh, okay. Takes picture of me.
All we gotta find that picture.
All half-eyed and crusty-eyed or whatever, holding this package, and then leaves. So I'm like, now I'm pissed because I just got woken up, and I was hoping to get another like hour of sleep in. But when Alicia comes back, I put the buttons down. She goes, "Oh, these are your buttons."
It was like Christmas morning.
How am I gonna go back to sleep now with knowing that those buttons are right there? So before work, I've got the buttons installed, got the game opened up, trying them out, feeling out my initial impressions and stuff like that.
So what are your initial impressions? What do you think about the gamer fingers?
So I bought them because of the switches.
Yep.
The Speed Silver Cherry MX switches because I liked them in the crown buttons. They're short throw, instant actuation. These have a completely different feel.
Yep, they feel... When I first got them, I was like, this feels like no other button I've pressed.
Yeah, even though it's the same switch, it feels completely different. So these kind of feel like they register to me more at the bottom.
Yep.
And they also release more at the bottom.
Yep.
So there's a couple of times I was getting inputs and I was like, I was doing it right. I am getting it on this. It's because when I'm releasing and the timing of pressing or the other buttons, I wasn't getting really what I wanted. And there's a couple of times where I was like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted because it felt different than the other buttons. But they are so soft and so quiet, and they were dumb easy to install.
Yep.
I only have 2 problems, and it's gonna get fixed. I put in one button, this pink one right here. I'm going to show you guys so you can see, and you can see it too.
Is it slanted?
I put in the one button, I flip it over to take a look at it, and I go to plink it like this.
Ooh, that's actually happened to me.
And the button cap comes flying off.
I have had that issue in the past. I'm assuming yours isn't broken. We can take a closer look at it. But it was one of my directional buttons had the plastic had cracked, and that was the reason why it was flying off.
Okay.
It's because there wasn't enough material for it to grab onto the post.
So none of the others will do that. I do have one other blue one that does it. But none of them do that. So we got in touch with them. They've already sent out 2 more caps for me to replace them. It doesn't pop off while I'm playing as long as I don't double tap it. Yep. And I don't always double tap either, so it hasn't been an issue for right now, but...
Yeah, I'm assuming in your case it's because there's like a female cross that mates to the male cross, and so I'm assuming that these are just a little bit loose.
Yeah, that's probably just a slight little tolerance issue there.
Because on mine, the cross actually cracked, like the circular plastic broke off.
Really?
And so it was only holding on with 3 of the 4 sides, and so it popped off pretty regularly, and I would be like, playing online in ranked, and my button pops off, and I have my finger in the hole pressing the cross,
pressing the actual switch itself.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like you play hard or anything, so that's really odd that would happen. I'm really surprised. Between Gamer Finger and Quamba Gravity, Bono, that's a great question. You're gonna have to stick around for that content to show up on the channel because that is something I will be covering. I will say this: the Quamba Gravity was at the top of my list. And I'll leave it at that.
And let me tell you my favorite buttons, my number 1 favorite buttons for the quality and the price is the Punk Workshops.
Let's go.
I think they're on par with the quality. I mean, they're different. But I think the high quality is, they're both high quality buttons between the Punk Workshops and the Gamer Finger buttons. And they're much, much cheaper. They're $3 a button?
They're less than. I think they were $2.50 a button.
$2.50 a button, which is the same price as Sanwas.
A Sanwa, yeah, your average button.
Yeah, and I don't love the Sanwas. I don't think they're as good.
No.
But yeah, the gamer fingers are what, like $7-8 each?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like I had to order mine, like I said, from AliExpress.
You gotta pay
so
for shipping.
it was a lot. And then if it was Amazon, it probably could have come in a couple of days. But AliExpress does tend to take a little bit longer. I noticed you don't have your blue button caps on.
I didn't put them on yet. I've been lazy.
Yeah. I've been lazy.
But it's a 3-day weekend, so.
Why? What's
Monday's a holiday, Labor Day.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that. Which will be a button club this Monday. Oh, did you get any crazy weather on Monday?
I didn't get crazy weather, but I got crazy weather alerts saying there was going to be a goddamn tornado in Rhode Island.
Yes.
And none of that happened.
Before I get to DiGiorno's comment, I'll tell you what happened on Monday. Every morning on Monday, we message Jared. We're like, okay, button buddies assemble when you want to come down and hang out. Because we always, we'll get lunch together. We hang out, talk about the day before we do button club. So he goes, hey, did you hear about this crazy storm that's coming? And sends us a little screenshot. And it says like 12 to 9, severe weather. Everything's red. Looks crazy, right? So Alicia goes, oh, wow. I don't want to be packing up when that weather really hits. Why don't we pack up the car now? It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
Okay, let's run and scramble. Pack up the car. It's kind of starting already looking a little scary outside, right? Jared comes over. He lives in Fairhaven, so he's closer towards the storm. He goes, I basically was getting chased by it the whole way here. So it's on its way, and it's gnarly. He said that he saw hail. He heard of other people getting large hail. Yep. The thunder was already sounding like movie quality thunder outside. It was looking crazy. So I go, well, if it's that insane, and if no one's going to be showing up because we got people that come from Rhode Island all over the place, what are we doing? We should consider the safety of the players. Maybe we should just cancel.
Right.
So, okay, yeah, if it's going to be that crazy and it's going to run 12 to 9, yeah, let's cancel. So we unload the car. We all come back in, and now we're going to have a day to ourselves. We're going to have a movie day with Jared, which we haven't had in a while. I think like 4:30, 5 o'clock, when movie finishes up, I look outside, I go, guys, the sun's out.
Yeah.
It's sunny out right now. They're like, yeah, but it's till 9. It could come back. Yeah.
Right. And in New England, it's definitely possible for it to be sunny out, and in 20 minutes, it's torrential downpouring, and it looks like it's nighttime because the clouds are so dark.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen. And so
it looked like it was going to be insane. We ended up getting next to nothing, but other areas did get kind of slammed. Rez right there says 1.5 inches hail. And then Alicia, don't shame us for being prepared.
Yeah, I mean, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, but it is what it is. And honestly, it made me miss Monday so much.
Yep.
And I'm really looking forward to it. And then not being able to see my people. That's another thing, You're like, oh, it's another week. Like, I actually thinking about my players while I'm tattooing, going, I wonder how so-and-so's doing this week. DiGiorno, possible short-term fix to the cap is stick a little piece of tape in the cross over the switch. Some people do this. Remedy, keycaps popping off. Okay, interesting. I did try to put a little something in there, but I don't think it was right. I literally do not trust the forecast. Yeah. She goes, I looked at my phone and it said like the worst of it was from 3 to 4. So I'm like, it's gonna be over in no time. And she's like, I literally don't trust the forecast, but she didn't trust it in a different reason. All right, my friend, is there anything else you want to talk about tonight before we call this podcast an episode?
I think we did it.
I think we did it. We went from having literally nothing, walk in the door. Ryan, what are we talking about today?
Whatever we want.
Exactly. Fall River had some insane flooding, but it died down around 5 p.m. Thankfully. That's right. Yeah, Fall River. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Safe Sets podcast. We hope you have enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for other content, check out some of our other content, leave a comment down below of what you thought of tonight's topics. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Safe Sets podcast. But until then, keep pressing them buttons and
stay safe.
Have a